Did you fully understand the concept of the movie, the time inversion?
No, I did not.
Really based on an initial understanding of the idea that the laws of physics are symmetrical. They can run forwards and backwards and they're the same, other than entropy.
If you were a quantum physicist, you might understand it on the first watch.
I remember asking him, would we really need to do this, or is this a visual effect? He said, no, you are the visual effect.
What? Thank you very much. It's really about humankind and a threat to humanity.
I would try to prevent COVID. I would save us all from COVID-19.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Let's begin. Can you introduce yourself very briefly to our Chinese audience?
Hi, hello. My name is John David Washington, and I play the protagonist in the new movie Tenet.
My name's Elizabeth Debicki, and I play the role of Kat in Tenet.
Hello, my name's Kenneth Branner, and I'm very happy to be here talking to Chinese movie fans.
Okay, thank you. Wow. Hello, Director Nolan. Welcome to join us. Well, Director Nolan, why do you add sci-fi elements such as time inversion to the espionage genre?
I really wanted to get back to that childlike sense of wonder that I'd had when I first encountered the genre many, many years ago. And to do that, I felt like I really wanted to try and turn it on its head and try and give people a reason for reapproaching the genre, engaging with it differently, looking at what's really exciting about it. And the way to do that for me was to bring in this component, this science fiction idea, this idea of time and the manipulation of time. It's something I've been fascinated with for a long time, really based on an initial understanding of the idea that the laws of physics are symmetrical. They can run forwards and backwards and they're the same, other than entropy. So it's really about taking one little aspect of the world and changing it and seeing what that could do to a story like this.
John David, did you fully understand the concept of the movie, the time inversion, when you read the script or even when you are filming?
No, I did not. I did not. Not at first, no, I did not. But after a while, after studying, after many conversations with Christopher Nolan and the cast, I started to become more aware of what was happening. I'll say a better, a stronger understanding of the concept.
And you, Elizabeth?
I did understand it to the degree that I understand it now. I think that I've definitely never had a physical script in my life that I have written so many notes on, trying to break down sequences and understand the complexity of it. But we also had the bonus, obviously, of physically experiencing what inversion is and the idea of it. And then also we have Christopher Nolan next to us if we need to ask questions. So I think by the end of it, yes, I did, yeah.
How about you, Kenneth?
There's a character in the movie who says, sometimes you don't have to understand it, you've just got to feel it. I didn't understand everything, but I felt all of it. And when I watched it, I was so exhilarated. I felt blessed that I could feel cinema returning to cinemas in the form of Christopher Nolan's Tenet, and I was profoundly grateful.
John David, what did you do when you learned that Christopher Nolan wants you to be the leading actor?
I screamed at the top of my lungs. I called my mom. I hugged her when I saw her. We had a dinner. It was a celebration. Like my life was going to change.
The core of the film is the concept of time inversion. Well, if it really can be done, what would you want to do?
I would try to prevent COVID. I would save us all from COVID-19.
Director Nolan, how would you describe working with John David?
You know, we wanted to tap into that idea of the iconic presence at the heart of the film. And John David had the requisite charisma to play this kind of character. That was very apparent to me from his other work. But also what he had that I thought was equally important, possibly more important, was this sense of empathy with his fellow man. These are characters who, at least in the stories, they're prepared to lay down their life for their fellow human being, prepared to self-sacrifice for an abstract ideal or their country or whatever that is. And it seemed to us that somebody really prepared to do that in the real world would have to have a sense of faith, a sense of generosity of spirit, a sense of empathy with the people around him. And John David was able to bring that to the character while still staying true to the sort of ruthless professionalism required of these kind of characters to make the most exciting story.
Thank you. Elizabeth, how is your character different from the average secret agent movie female characters?
It's actually really what I love about her. I found her to be a very empowering character to play because at the core of her journey through the film is this discovery of her own strength and also a kind of very deep understanding of resilience. Because I think when the woman you meet at the beginning of the film is different to the woman at the end of the film, and that's something to do with her understanding the agency she can have over her own life. I think in this genre, that can be sometimes a bit of an anomaly to find a character like that.
Well, Kenneth, what was your first impression of this villain when you got the script?
I was very exhilarated by the script. I feel as though it was a very new take on the espionage film and on the spy film, and that the villain was also very original, very, very dark. It doesn't become flamboyant, it doesn't become theatrical. He's very contained, but very dangerous. He is almost, in his own mind, godlike.
How would you like to die?
And this makes a very, very interesting thing for an actor to play. He has a terrifying power, but he is also terrifyingly lonely, and that can make him very, very dangerous.
Director Nolan, how would you describe working with Elizabeth and Kenneth?
Ken Branagh I had worked with on Dunkirk very briefly and really enjoyed the experience. So I had wanted to do something, do a bigger part with him. He seemed absolutely right for Sator in that he's an actor of extraordinary talent who's utterly unlike the character. And I was fascinated by what somebody clearly capable of doing anything in the acting realm would do with a character that's so opposite to who he is as a person. Ken Branagh is a wonderful human being. Watching him really go there and try and tap into those darker elements of who the character needed to be, it was a really fascinating thing to watch. Elizabeth Debicki playing as a strange wife, it was just a delight to work with. She's such an extremely precise and thoughtful actor, but not afraid to reinvent herself for every part. In fact, I'd seen her in several movies without even realizing it was the same person. Her and Ken, some of their scenes together were extraordinarily intense. And in fact, we had to start with some of the most intense scenes the first day they were working together, which I think was a huge challenge for them, but they absolutely pulled it off.
Okay, and what was the most difficult and dangerous scene you've shot in Tenet?
Oh, I'll tell you that. Great question. In India, Mumbai, when I'm on that tall tower, having to jump over a balcony or climb up the balcony. That was the scariest, that was the hardest for me.
One of the most difficult scenes actually was on the catamaran boats. That was a complicated scene to shoot. I mean, first of all, those boats I've never seen anything. I didn't even know they existed until we were learning how to sail them. So, probably that, actually. But then the car chase sequence as well, that extraordinary car chase sequence, we shot that in Estonia for about 3 weeks and shooting every single piece of that scene, slowly putting the puzzle together. That was, I've never done anything like that as an actor.
Kenneth, it can be seen from the trailers that in a lot of sequences, things are going backwards. Did you really act like that?
Well, I had to just establish with Christopher Nolan, who, as you may know, likes to do everything live. He doesn't really concentrate or rely on visual effects. So anywhere else in the movie where you see real locations, we went to 7 different countries. If you see a big yacht, it really is there in Italy. If you see a 500 car sequence, it's really there. And so when it comes to some of the sequences where time is inverted, then yes, it's live in camera. And so I remember asking him, would we really need to do this, or is this a visual effect? He said, no, you are the visual effect. What?
Thank you very much.
And so we had to do a lot of practicing, balancing, yoga, and listening to words that go backwards and trying to find a way to do it as naturally as possible in order for it not to be a visual effect.
That's very amazing. Director Nolan, why did you travel 7 countries to film Tenet?
We're dealing with a story about a threat to the entire world that's beyond the idea of nation states. It's really about humankind and a threat to humanity. And so we wanted to emphasize that by getting the scope and scale of our real world across by going to more places to film than we ever have. It really pays off, and it pays off with, I think, the sense of escapism for the audience and the sense of scale for the entire film.
John David, was it very stressful working with Nolan? Did he set high standards for everything?
It was stressful, but not working for him. It was, I've never had a better experience working for anybody. But there were high stress situations, and there were a lot of, huge, massive set pieces and a lot of background artists, like in the opera house, there's like thousands of people. So you had the pressure of making sure you get it right and making sure you're on point and not messing up. But I didn't feel any pressure. And that's because of Chris. He made me feel so comfortable, and so did Emma. I felt very protected and looked after.
And did you feel a little bit pressure when you were standing with Elizabeth?
She's very tall. She's very tall. Yeah, she's very tall.
Okay, John David. In director Nolan's many films, which one have you seen the most times?
I feel like I've seen Tenet the most times because I worked on it. But other than that, I'd say it's a mix. It's a toss-up between Inception and The Dark Knight. I've seen those a lot of probably Inception. I've probably seen that the most.
Director Nolan, why do you think it's so important to go to the cinema and see this film?
Tenet is a film that tries to tap into the most exciting elements of what Hollywood blockbusters can offer an audience. And so when seen on the big screen, that's the optimum way in which to really engage and be immersed in the entire world of this film. It's a visual and audio experience to be fully immersed in.
Well, I think we just lost our connection to director Nolan. Anyway, the last question, and how many times do you think Tenet is worth watching?
What an interesting question. Well, I saw it a couple of weeks ago, and I have my tickets booked for my second screening next week when it starts again. I have no doubt that I will see it again. I've done this with numerous Christopher Nolan films. It's just the soundtrack, the performances, the locations, the complexities of the story, all of it for me, and the sheer cinematic immersion of it makes me want to go back. Having not been to see a movie in a movie theater for 5 months, I was so thrilled. I can't imagine wanting not to go back many times.
You could watch it forever, probably. You could watch it 10 times and different pieces of the story would drop in. I mean, if you were a quantum physicist, you might understand it on the first watch. But I feel like this is the beauty of Chris Nolan's films. The more you watch them, the more kind of levels you go through and the more you grasp of it. But it's always slightly out of reach for you. I think that's kind of the joy.
How many letters are in Tenet?
5.
Then there's your answer right there.
Time is up. Thank you, director Nolan, and thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Looking forward to see you in China, and thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I hope so soon. Bye. Bye.